Hello, this is Patrick Barnard in Montreal. This is the 17th International Press Review. It's a bit different from the normal one that I make on a Friday and over a weekend. I've just finished the 16th International Press Review. This is a kind of annex or addition to that. In the last review, we talked about a very important Human Rights Watch report last week that warned about war crimes in Gaza and extermination, in fact, of people there. That report was very important because it mentioned the Geneva Accords of 1948, and Article 1 of the Geneva Accords that not only names genocide as a crime, but also talks about the duty to prevent genocide. On Monday, May 19, 2025, the governments of the UK, Canada, and France issued a joint declaration on Gaza, sharply critical of the Israeli government, demanding that the Israeli military cease its military operations in the Gaza Strip. The report criticized Israel for the disproportionate use of force, for the forced displacement of populations, and for the withholding of essential humanitarian aid. This was a most unusual statement. And I'm going to play you now a report by Lucy Williamson of the BBC. She's not allowed to go into Gaza, and yet she's been reporting in a most extraordinary way. And her report, just after the issuing of that joint declaration, gives you an idea of the scenes which have caused such a turn in opinion, really, about what is happening in Gaza.
What they're learning in the classrooms of this Gaza City school is more than some world leaders can take. A shelter for displaced people, bombed overnight. The most precious thing to salvage from the rubble is food. Israel said more than 98 trucks crossed into Gaza today. The UN says none has yet been distributed. It says thousands of children are already suffering severe acute malnutrition. This is Heba, a 7-month-old baby who weighs the same as a newborn. This malnutrition unit in central Gaza says patients doubled during the aid blockade and that it has 2 weeks of life-saving drugs left.
We have a problem now with the accessibility as well. So a lot of cases who are suffering from the malnutrition cannot come, cannot move, cannot go to the hospitals. Since the closure actually make the livestock here in Gaza. No cars, no fuel, no electricity.
The war in Gaza is stretching Israel's allies to breaking point. Among more than 70 people reported killed overnight, the 2 sons of Osama Abu Msabeh, the other half of his family missing.
My 2 boys, 13 and 9 years old, both are in the same body bag. I can't find their mother or their sister. My children are gone.
The UK, France and Canada have threatened concrete actions unless Israel stops the war. Israel's government is fighting back.
I think the fact that the leadership of these countries are suffering from a serious broken moral compass. They will pay the price of losing their humanity and moral compass, because putting the blame on a democracy who fights against this evil, again, it will take price also from these countries, because they want to take down your countries as well.
Israel is staring down the judgment of its allies, but its allies are feeling the judgment of children with empty bowls, accusing the world of empty words. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Empty bowls, empty words. That's how Lucy Williamson describes what may very well be the view of people in Gaza about this latest declaration. But I am going to put it into the record here using this short video, and I'm going to read the declaration of Canada, Britain, and France. Joint statement from the leaders of the United Kingdom, France, and Canada on the situation in Gaza and the West Bank, published 19 May 2025. We strongly oppose the expansion of Israel's military operations in Gaza. The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable. Yesterday's announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza is wholly inadequate. We call on the Israeli government to stop its military operations in Gaza and immediately allow humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. This must include engaging with the UN to ensure a return of delivery of aid in line with humanitarian principles. We call on Hamas to release immediately the remaining hostages they have so cruelly held since 7 October 2023. The Israeli government's denial of essential humanitarian assistance to the civilian population is unacceptable and risks breaching international humanitarian law. We condemn the abhorrent language used recently by members of the Israeli government threatening that, in their despair at the destruction of Gaza, civilians will start to relocate. Permanent forced displacement is a breach of international humanitarian law. Israel suffered a heinous attack on October 7. We have always supported Israel's right to defend Israelis against terrorism, but this escalation is wholly disproportionate. We will not stand by while the Netanyahu government pursues these egregious actions. If Israel does not cease the renewed military offensive and lift its restrictions on humanitarian aid, we will take further concrete actions in response. We oppose any attempt to expand settlements in the West Bank. Israel must halt settlements which are illegal and undermine the viability of a Palestinian state and the security of both Israelis and Palestinians. We will not hesitate to take further action, including targeted sanctions. We strongly support the efforts led by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt to secure an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. It is a ceasefire, the release of all remaining hostages, and a long-term political solution that offer the best hope of ending the agony of the hostages and their families, alleviating the suffering of civilians in Gaza, ending Hamas's control of Gaza, and achieving a pathway to a two-state solution consistent with the goals of the 18 June conference in New York, co-chaired by Saudi Arabia and France. These negotiations need to succeed, and we must all work towards the implementation of a two-state solution, which is the only way to bring long-lasting peace and security that both Israelis and Palestinians deserve and ensure long-term stability in the region. We will continue to work with the Palestinian Authority, regional partners, Israel and the United States, to finalize consensus on arrangements for Gaza's future, building on the Arab Plan. We affirm the important role of the high-level two-state solution conference at the UN in June in building international consensus around this aim. And we are committed to recognizing a Palestinian state as a contribution to achieving a two-state solution and are prepared to work with others to this end. That is the conclusion of the UK, Canada, France statement on Gaza. Let's hope that it plays some part in changing the fate of the people in Gaza right now. This is the end of the 17th International Press Review. I am Patrick Barnard in Montreal.